We begin with Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher who, in his seminal work, presents a metaphor for the nature of reality, knowledge, and enlightenment, the Allegory of the Cave. Imagine a dark cave. Inside this cave are prisoners who have been chained since childhood. They are bound in such a way that they can only see the cave wall in front of them. Behind them is a fire, and between the fire and the prisoners is a raised walkway where people pass, carrying objects. The prisoners cannot see these objects or the people. Instead, they see only the shadows cast on the wall in front of them. To them, these shadows are the entirety of reality. For these prisoners, the shadows are not mere illusions. They are the ultimate truth. If one of the prisoners were to escape and see the world outside the cave, they would be blinded by the sunlight and overwhelmed by the true nature of reality. But upon adjusting, they would realize that what they once thought was real was just a projection of something far greater. Fast forward over 2 millennia, and the Wachowski sisters draws on this very idea of people trapped in an illusory world. The Matrix, a simulated reality designed to keep humanity subdued, is the modern-day cave. Neo, the protagonist, is like the escaped prisoner. He is awakened from the Matrix and discovers the grim truth that what he had always believed to be real, his life, his world, was nothing but a digital simulation. The humans are trapped by more than chains. They are trapped by a digital system, a computer-generated world designed to control their perception of reality. The real world is dark and dystopian, hidden behind the virtual illusion of everyday life. Now, what if wasn't just science fiction? What if the idea that we live in a simulation had actual philosophical and scientific merit? Enter Nick Bostrom, a contemporary philosopher who, in 2003, proposed the simulation hypothesis. According to Bostrom, it's quite possible that our entire universe is a sophisticated computer simulation. His argument is built around the idea that, as technology advances, future civilizations may develop the computational power to create simulated realities indistinguishable from the real world. Bostrom offers 3 propositions. 1. Advanced civilizations go extinct before they can develop the technology for such simulations. 2. Advanced civilizations choose not to run ancestor simulations. Or 3. We are, in fact, living in a simulation. Given the rapid advancement in computing power, many argue that the third option may be the most plausible. At first glance, Plato's Allegory of the Cave and Bostrom's simulation hypothesis seem like distant ideas. One is ancient philosophy, the other a futuristic thought experiment. But when we dig deeper, we find a striking parallel between the two. In both cases, humans are living in a reality that is fundamentally an illusion. For Plato, the prisoners are trapped by their ignorance, their understanding of reality limited to the shadows on the wall. For Bostrom, humanity is trapped by the limitations of the simulation, unaware that the real world lies beyond the virtual construct. In the same way that the escaped prisoner of Plato's cave is overwhelmed by the truth of the outside world, someone awakening from a simulation would be disoriented and disillusioned. But the essence of both ideas is the same. There's more to reality than meets the eye. What we perceive as real is only a partial truth, a shadow of a much deeper reality. Plato's metaphysical worldview centers around the idea that the physical world is a mere shadow of a higher, more perfect reality, the world of forms. In the cave allegory, the shadows represent the imperfect physical world, while the objects outside the cave symbolize the true forms, perfect, eternal, and immutable. Now consider Bostrom's simulation hypothesis. If we are living in a simulated world, this digital construct is analogous to Plato's shadows. It is an incomplete, distorted reflection of a higher reality, whether that reality is physical or beyond our comprehension. Just as Plato's escaped prisoner sees the real objects behind the shadows, the awakened individual in Bostrom's simulation would glimpse the raw computational architecture behind the simulated universe. In both frameworks, the truth lies beyond the limits of everyday perception. Neo is not just someone who escapes the simulation, he becomes a liberator, a messianic figure capable of bending the rules of the digital world. Plato's Allegory of the Cave also presents the idea of the Philosopher-King, the individual who escapes the cave and returns to liberate the prisoners, sharing the truth of the outside world. But here lies the challenge. Once someone has seen the higher reality, can they convince others to follow? In the same way that Neo struggles to free others from the Matrix, Plato's Philosopher-King faces resistance from those who are still imprisoned by the shadows. In both stories, breaking free from illusion is not just a personal journey, but a collective struggle. The challenge is not just to see the truth, but to bring others with you. At the heart of both and Plato's allegory is the idea of choice. The choice to remain in ignorance or to seek enlightenment. This is symbolized by the red pill, which Neo takes to awaken to the truth. For Plato, the journey out of the cave represents a similar choice, the choice to question the world around us and seek higher knowledge. But what does it mean to choose truth? Does it mean living in discomfort, as Neo does in the grim real world, or in the bright sunlight that blinds the escaped prisoner? Plato suggests that enlightenment comes at a cost. Ignorance may be bliss, but it's a bliss built on falsehoods. Similarly, Bostrom's hypothesis raises unsettling questions about whether we even have free will in a simulated world. Are our choices truly our own, or are we simply following pre-programmed scripts like characters in a video game? So, are we too living in a cave? Plato would say that we are constantly navigating between illusion and reality, seeking to uncover deeper truths about our existence. Bostrom's simulation hypothesis pushes us to consider that our entire universe might be the shadows on the wall, a mere simulation created by forces we cannot yet comprehend. Neo's journey shows us that awakening to the truth is both liberating and terrifying. Once you see the world for what it is, there's no going back. In the end, whether we are prisoners in a cave, characters in a simulation, or simply living in a world of sensory perception, the quest for truth remains central to human existence. What matters is the pursuit, the willingness to question, to break free from the illusions we accept as reality, and to seek the underlying truths that shape our universe. As technology continues to evolve, the question of whether we live in a simulation will become even more relevant. Virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and quantum computing are bringing us closer to the possibility of creating our own simulated worlds. We might one day have the power to create realities so immersive that they are indistinguishable from the real world. And when that day comes, we'll be faced with the same philosophical dilemmas posed by Plato and Bostrom. Will we, like the prisoners in Plato's cave, be trapped in these virtual realities, mistaking them for the truth? Or will we be the architects of our own simulations, playing the role of the creators of these digital worlds? The implications of these questions are profound and touch on the very nature of human consciousness, identity, and free will. One of the key issues at the heart of both Plato's allegory and Bostrom's theory is the role of consciousness. What is it that makes us aware of reality? Can consciousness exist independently of the material world, or is it inherently tied to the physical or perhaps digital systems in which we reside? If we are living in a simulation, it raises the question, what is the nature of our consciousness? Is it a product of the simulation, or is it something beyond, something that cannot be reduced to ones and zeros? Plato would argue that consciousness is the key to breaking free from the cave, to seeing beyond the shadows. In the simulation hypothesis, the nature of our consciousness might be the very thing that connects us to a reality beyond the digital framework, perhaps akin to Plato's world of forms. If we accept that we are living in a simulation, it raises profound questions about meaning, morality, and existence. In Plato's world, the pursuit of truth leads to the good life, a life of wisdom, virtue, and alignment with the higher forms. But what happens in a simulated world? If everything we experience is pre-programmed, do concepts like morality and purpose hold the same weight? Do we still have a responsibility to seek truth, or are we mere players in a cosmic game with predetermined outcomes? Bostrom's hypothesis doesn't just challenge our understanding of reality, it challenges the foundations of human ethics and purpose. If we're in a simulation, are we still accountable for our actions? Are there higher rules governing us that we can't see, much like Plato's forms? And if so, who or what created these rules? Are the creators of the simulation the gods of our digital universe? Whether or not we live in a simulation, Plato's Allegory teaches us an essential truth. The journey to knowledge is a difficult one. It requires questioning the status quo, seeking out new perspectives, and being willing to confront uncomfortable truths. In a world that is increasingly dominated by digital media, artificial intelligence, and virtual realities, this journey is more important than ever. The line between what is real and what is illusion is becoming blurred, and it's up to us to navigate it with wisdom and discernment. Just like in Plato's cave, or in Bostrom's simulation, the choice is ours. Do we remain in the comfort of illusion, or do we step out into the light, no matter how disorienting it may be? The quest for truth, whether it's in philosophy, science, or our daily lives, remains a timeless pursuit, and in that quest perhaps we'll find what it means to be truly free. As we conclude this exploration of Plato's Allegory of the Cave and Nick Bostrom's simulation hypothesis, one thing becomes clear. These ideas are not just abstract thought experiments. They force us to confront the nature of our own existence and question the reality we take for granted. Whether we are living in a cave, a simulation, or simply a complex physical universe, the search for truth, meaning, and understanding is universal. So, what do you think? Are we prisoners of a reality we cannot see, or creators of our own simulation? The answer might lie somewhere between philosophy, technology, and imagination. But one thing is certain: there's always more to reality than meets the eye. If you enjoyed this deep dive into philosophy and science fiction, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest explorations of reality, consciousness, and the mysteries of the universe. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe we're living in a simulation, or is there more to the story? Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the truth is out there.